Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. It was an uncharacteristically early release from the day's grip, the kind of Wednesday where the sun lingered just enough to paint the city in hues of orange and gold. I decided to surprise her with dinner, a hopeful prelude to a quiet evening we seldom enjoyed. My steps hastened with the thought of her smile, her laughter filling our small, cozy apartment on 5th Street. As I approached our front door, keys jangling softly in my hand, a faint murmur seeped through the gap beneath. Pausing, the joy of anticipation chilled into a shard of suspicion piercing through my heart. It was her voice, a whisper threaded with a tense urgency that I had never heard before. "I can't meet tonight," she murmured, her words muffled yet piercingly clear. "My husband is home." The keys fell from my grasp, clattering against the wood with a traitorous clang. Yet, she didn't notice. Frozen at the threshold, I was engulfed by a storm of betrayal. My heart, once wholly devoted, now shattered in disbelief. She continued, oblivious to the fracture spreading within me. "No, I love you too, but it's risky. We can't keep doing this." Every word was a hammer, nailing the finality of our vows into a coffin of deceit. With each whispered promise to him, the life I knew crumbled. I stood, unseen, the man she claimed to love yet so easily deceived. Minutes stretched like hours until the call ended with a soft click, a punctuation to her double life. The door creaked as I pushed it open, stepping into the familiar now turned foreign. Her face lit up at my entrance, a mask of perfect surprise. "James. You're early, what a wonderful surprise." Her voice was a melody that now scraped at my ears. I could barely manage a nod, my gaze fixed on the stranger before me. "Who were you talking to?" My voice was calm, eerily devoid of the storm raging inside. "Oh, just a client from work. They needed some reassurances about the project deadlines." Her answer came too quickly, the lie smooth and practiced. I nodded, a plan unfurling amidst the chaos of my thoughts. If deceit was the game, I'd master it to protect my shattered heart. Dinner proceeded under the weight of unsaid truths. I watched her laugh, the sound hollow, as I plotted the end of the life we had built on lies. That night, as she slept beside me, the ghost of her betrayal keeping me awake, I made a decision. No confrontation. No dramatic accusations. I would dismantle her life as meticulously and silently as she had dismantled our marriage. The lawyer's number was already on my phone, her whispered words the only proof I needed. As the first light of dawn crept through our curtains, I rose from our bed, a blueprint of retribution clear in my mind. This was just the beginning. I would ensure that by the time I was done, she would understand the true cost of betrayal. Morning light spilled over the city as I stepped out into the brisk air, my resolve as cold and firm as the pavement underfoot. The plan was simple yet effective: sever all ties, both legal and emotional, without giving her a glimpse of my intentions. First, a visit to the lawyer, Mr. Allen, a no-nonsense man with a reputation for being a shark in court. His office was stark, a reflection of his professional austerity. He greeted me with a nod, his eyes sharp behind thin spectacles. "James, what brings you in today?" His voice was as sterile as his office. "I need to file for divorce," I stated, the words more liberating than I anticipated. "It's non-negotiable." Mr. Allen did not flinch. He simply nodded, taking notes. "Any particular reason that prompts this action?" "Infidelity, perhaps." "Yes," I affirmed, feeling the weight of each syllable. "I have enough to proceed on those grounds." "Very well. I'll prepare the necessary documents." "Discretion is key, I presume?" "Absolutely." Leaving the lawyer's office, the next step unfolded with mechanical precision. A stop at the bank to ensure our finances were dissected with surgical accuracy. I met with the manager, detailing the need for separate accounts, my voice steady, betraying none of the turmoil that had led me here. By the time I returned home, the apartment felt like a stage, each room a backdrop for the lies that had unfolded. She was there, her presence suddenly oppressive, as she greeted me with a tentative smile. "James, is everything all right? You seem distant." I met her gaze, my own expression unreadable. "Just tired from work. A lot on my mind." She nodded, seemingly satisfied with the answer, unaware that the ground beneath her was shifting. Dinner was a quiet affair, her attempts at conversation crashing against my monolithic responses. The evening waned and she retired to bed, the distance between us now not just emotional but physical, as I chose the couch, feigning a need for space to work. My laptop glowed in the dim light, emails from Mr. Allen confirming the wheels were in motion. That night, as I lay in the dark, the silence of the apartment was a stark contrast to the chaos of my thoughts. I was setting a trap, each move calculated, but the weight of my actions, the sheer finality of it, was suffocating. She was leading a double life, but in seeking retribution, was I any better? The question lingered, a specter in the night. Yet, with each passing moment, my resolve hardened. This was not just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my life from the ruins of deception. As dawn approached, I knew the coming days would bring the storm I had summoned. But I was ready. After all, in a game of chess, the most powerful moves are often those made in silence. The city was draped in a cloak of fog as I walked, each step a beat in the symphony of my planned retribution. Today was crucial, it was the day she would learn of the impending divorce. But first, a meeting that would set the stage for the final act. I arrived at a quaint coffee shop downtown, where I was to meet with a private investigator I had contacted days earlier. He sat in the back, a nondescript figure blending seamlessly with the morning rush. "Mr. Williams?" I approached, extending a hand. He nodded, shaking my hand with a firm grip. "Call me Mark." "So, you're looking to gather more evidence?" "Yes," I replied, my voice low. "Anything that can ensure the divorce swings in my favor." Mark slid a folder across the table. Inside were photographs and messages, each piece of evidence a nail in the coffin of our marriage. "She's been careful, but not careful enough. You'll find everything you need here." Taking the folder, I felt a surge of vindication mixed with sorrow. It was one thing to know of her betrayal, another to see it laid out in stark, undeniable reality. "Thank you, Mark. This will suffice." Leaving the coffee shop, I headed home. The apartment felt different as I entered, the morning light casting long shadows across the floor. She was in the kitchen, and the sound of her humming was like a knife twisting in my chest. "James, you're back early," she noted, turning with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Anything special planned today?" I set the folder on the kitchen table. "We need to talk." Her smile faltered as she noticed the seriousness in my tone. "What's wrong?" I opened the folder, spreading the photographs and messages out before her. Her face paled, eyes darting from the evidence to my stony gaze. "James, I..." "Save it," I interrupted. The coldness in my voice surprised even me. "I know everything. And I want a divorce." The word divorce hung in the air like a thick fog, her shock palpable. She reached out, her hand trembling. "Please, let's talk about this. We can go to counseling. I can explain. There's nothing to discuss. You've made your choices." Her defenses crumbled, tears streaming down her face. "It was a mistake. I never wanted to hurt you. Please." I stepped back, the distance between us more than just physical now. "You should have thought of that before. It's over, Anna." Turning away, I left her there amidst the ruins of her deceit. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, walking away from the person I once loved more than life itself. But it was necessary, a closure on a chapter of my life that had been based on a lie. The rest of the day was a blur, my actions automatic as I made arrangements for separate living situations and contacted my lawyer to proceed with the divorce filings. As the sun set, painting the sky with strokes of crimson and gold, I stood at the window of my now solitary apartment. The future was uncertain, a daunting expanse stretched out before me. Yet, in that moment, I felt a sense of peace. The storm of betrayal had passed, and ahead lay the calm of new beginnings. The night was sharp, the city's silhouette etched against a starless sky. The air was electric, charged with the finality of my decisions. After weeks of meticulous planning and cold, calculated moves, the final act was upon us. I sat in my car, parked just outside the dimly lit entrance of the bar where she and her lover often met, a detail Mark had provided. Tonight, I would confront them together, an uninvited specter at their clandestine meeting. My heart raced, not with fear, but with the adrenaline of impending closure. The minutes ticked by, each second a drumbeat to their arrival. Finally, a car pulled up. They stepped out, laughing, their arms linked, oblivious to the storm about to break. I waited, letting the scene etch into my memory, the last image I would have of them before everything changed. As they approached the entrance, I stepped out of the shadows, my presence a cold shock. "Anna, what a surprise," I said, my voice dripping with feigned cheerfulness. Her laughter died in her throat, her lover's arm dropping from around her waist. "James. What are you doing here?" "Just thought I'd see for myself," I replied, my eyes locking with his. "You must be the famous Mark. We've actually met before." Confusion marred his face, a momentary lapse before realization dawned. Fear flickered in his eyes, the connection made. "You hired me." "Yes, and you did a splendid job," I said, stepping closer. Imagine my surprise when I hired a private investigator only to find out he's the other man. Anna's face crumbled, betrayal upon betrayal layering before her. "James, Save it," I snapped. The civility was gone, my voice a whipcrack in the cold air. "I trusted you both, and you conspired against me." Turning to Mark, I continued, "And you, using your role to fuel an affair. It's almost impressive." Mark stepped back, his composure cracking. "James, listen, it's not what." "No," I cut him off, holding up a small voice recorder. "It's exactly what it looks like. And everything, every meeting, every lie, it's all here." Their faces blanched as the weight of their deception crashed down. "This ends tonight," I declared. "I'll ensure everyone knows the kind of people you are. Your clients, your friends. Consider your careers and lives as you know them over." Panic took hold as they realized the extent of my revenge. It wasn't just a divorce, it was total annihilation of everything they held dear. "I'll leave you to your evening," I said, my tone icy as I turned to leave, their pleas for mercy a mere echo behind me. As I drove away, the last ties to my old life severing with each passing mile, I felt a grim satisfaction. They had woven a web of lies, but I had cut through it with the precision of a knife. The night sky seemed to open up, the city lights a blur as I headed towards a new beginning. In this final chapter, the depths of the protagonist's revenge reached their peak, revealing the calculated and ruthless measures he took to dismantle the lives of those who betrayed him. The story concludes with the protagonist driving away from his past, leaving behind a wake of ruin and starting anew, free from the shadows of deception.